literary writer as one who bears witness and makes prophetic declarations to the world, uses texts to provide guidance to the society. I am Nina Basi, and you are on to African Literature on the largest television network in Africa, the NTA. Stay with us.
The true definition of creative writing is original writing that expresses ideas and thoughts in an imaginative way. It is the art of making things up or putting a creative splash on history. Creative writing makes one step out of reality and into a new realm inspired by one's imagination. Creative literary writing considers the historical events of the past in the context of the present, then provides a warning or challenges to the audience about the deleterious societal conditions and the need for human reformation. Creative writing is a form of expression that affords great freedom. Creative writing fulfills an extraordinary role as an exhortative writer. More specifically, the writer discusses in contemporary terms the overall condition that creates disparities in human treatment, leading to negative and destructive perspectives of self and others, and offers guidance for the present and future generations to break the cycle of false hope followed by despair. Writers are constrained only by the limits of their imagination. Writing is also very personal. Good writers are taught to develop an authentic voice or writing style that makes their work unique and recognizable among others. Journalism and creative writing are twin tools in reshaping society into a better and healthier place for human habitation. Just like journalism stands for entertainment, education, information, and surveillance, so it is with creative writing, which is sometimes inventive and prophetic. Creative writers are purveyors of innovations. They see tomorrow and create inspiration for science and technology and other fields of study. It's like a prophetic flow that drips in torrents and departs spontaneously to resurface intermittently. Creative writing places one on the pleasure cruise once you are engulfed in its moments of quietness and meditation. One is driven by an unknown force to spew inert wisdom to the body of knowledge, that is, spinning words in eclectic styles. Therefore, creative writing is an extraordinary source of inspiration.
Global Bugabu by Alilu Kayode Aminu takes us through the pains of human existence and light at the end of every tunnel.
In order to understand prophetic literature, it is important to first understand what it means to be a prophet. Prophets are commonly mistaken with oracles or clairvoyants, those who have the supernatural ability to see and predict the future. In the Holy Book, God changed specific men and women to bear supernatural messages to his people. These messages are meant to call God's people back to their roots as the people of God. The calling of the creative, prophetic writers is broader, wider, and more intentional than many have ever imagined. Prophetic activities have different shapes and patterns depending on media or tools used to predict. Prediction activities penetrate into the world of literature. This can be found through the traces left in literacy works, especially works that have historical themes. Alilu Kayode Aminu, one of Nigerian's prophetic creative writer, in his collection of poems titled Bugabu, predicts light at the end of the tunnel during COVID-19 pandemic.
Now you and I are sitting down here without nose mask. It wasn't possible in 2019, and you won't enter that gate without nose mask. But that was in the prediction, and you won't shake hands with anyone. I'm sure you've had some handshakes today, earlier today. It's in the poetry, even in the poem Global Buabu, that someday we'll come back to have those handshakes. And then you look at the last part of it. I said, like, if you check the predecessors of COVID, we have malaria, we have HIV, we have Ebola, we have all the likes. But they came in this form and they were tamed.
He speaks on his title.
When you mention the word masquerade, a child runs away. So masquerade represents boogaboo as far as children are concerned. So we look at the boogaboo that has global impact or global touch was COVID. So when it came, I look at it and say, okay, fine. This title speaks well of what COVID is to the whole world, because everyone was in a panic mode as at that time. King, queens, slaves, servants, no matter who was involved, everybody was scared. The rich could not trust in their wealth to be alive. The poor too could not trust in their prayers to be alive. So it became something of serious panic. And that's why I brought out the title Global Boogaboo.
The poem is characterized with uncertainty and fearsome tone.
The tone was tone of fear for myself as an author, and it was something that was inspired by the general fear, the boogaboo itself. So I was a victim of the boogaboo. I was part of the people who expressed that fear, and so it was in that fear that the poem was composed and written.
The poet's legal training is evident in his diction.
Sometimes the way we write is determined by who we are in terms of training and experience. A lawyer will be influenced by his legal knowledge or legal education in his writings. A doctor will also be influenced by his background as a medical doctor. So it is impossible, having spent so many years practicing law, being in active practice, I will not write any collection of literature without having legal terms being embedded into it. Sometimes it's unintentional. It will just come your way, and then that's the best way you feel you could express yourself, and then so you have to express it to reflect your background. Even though, generally speaking, there is no society without law, and you hardly can discuss any subject matter without talking about law. And so that is why in each of the poems you will see reflection of legal terms where necessary, not just unnecessarily used, but where necessary, ensure that those terms are there.
The collection is inspired by the global pandemic, COVID-19, though other subject matters were raised.
Inspired by the emergence of COVID-19, late 2019. And so, it is wrong to express despair without giving hope to the people. It's a situation of sorrow for us at that time. So when you are informed or telling the world that you have a tragedy, you should let them know the hope that behind the dark cloud is silver lining. So those other collections, those other poems you see reflecting God, talking about love, talking about this Nigerian soldier, talking about my grandpa, my mom, and all that. if you read through them, you will still find some elements of pains, challenges, but after all this, there's always hope, joy, and happiness.
The collection contains titles from the author's real-life experiences.
Only few emerge from my imagination. Most of them are actually real-life experiences that I needed to put down so that we live to remember it, and some of them were very touching. If you check the aspect of that I talk about Nigerian soldier now, you see that when you read through, you understand, appreciate the pains, what the Nigerian soldiers, the Nigerian army goes through in the battle against terrorism, what they go through. When you have a brother that is a soldier and he tells you, I'm going to war, he is telling you goodbye. He meant it. If he's saying goodbye to you, he's actually saying goodbye from the depth of his heart, because he might not return. That's how painful it is to have a soldier in your family. If you check one of the poems there, I talked about my grandpa. My grandpa was very influential, and the story about my grandpa there is 100% truth. 100% what he went through, and with the spirits, with the jinns in the forest.
His beautiful arrangement of same-sounding words added elements of music to the collection.
I actually enjoy rhymes, and I enjoy it a lot. I like it when word ends, and the way it looks like music, and it looks like just creativity. Being an artist, I am somebody who try to be creative in everything I do, and so playing with words is my hobby. So, and when you see expressing yourself in different ways, using similar words, sounding alike, is what I do tirelessly. And so I try to, it's a way of enjoying my work. I enjoy doing it, and I thank those who put those words together, those words that exist. Sometimes I just like the fact that these words sound like this, they mean different things. I'll bring the meaning here, bring the other one, as long as they sound alike, but I ensure that as I'm following the rhymes, I ensure that they have meanings that you understand, that you comprehend. So it flows based on the inspiration. I could just see something that contain. Then the next thing I will be thinking that everything I will write in that poem must have 10, 10, 10 till I finish. So that's just an inspiration, and it's so beautiful, and it's part of expressing the beauty of words we have, the English words. It's just a way of expressing and bringing them together to be unique.
Alilu sees himself as a free verse poet.
I did a free verse of poetry, in the sense that the one that makes it so simple for everyone to understand. Because I hate a writer that is not understandable, that you read this word, you can't give any meaning to it. So I always want to communicate. And what is the essence of giving books to someone to read when he will not understand the content? So I made the language simple for everyone to understand that this is what we face. And in it, you see, there were so many predictions in the entire book, and there were so many prophecies, and some of them have started coming to pass. If you do not understand the content, how will you understand the prophecies and the concerns or the fear I've raised? It will just amount to some form of incantations known to the priest, or yes. And I felt I should make it simple for everyone to understand what I meant by global Bugabu. That is why I use very simple language, and that everyone is meant for all, every individual, everybody, educated or not educated, as long as you can read.
Every artist to him is a prophet.
Because you are moved or inspired to express yourself in a certain way. And because of expressing yourself, you are going to make some statements, whether in writing, whether orally or in writing, that someday will definitely come to pass. You say Magic Fashek, they call him prophet. Why? Predicted rain. And as at that time was predicting, people say rain will fall whenever he was singing. was an artist who was moved by the spirit to express himself in the form he did. And because of doing that, he said things that came to pass. Check other artists. You say some person, they will say they predicted their death, they predicted their this and that. No. Yes, they are right to say they predict. But they might, as at the time they are making those expressions, they might not know how it's going to happen or to whom it's going to happen. But somehow it will happen during their time or after their time.
Send Down the Rain, a song by Majek Fashek, a Nigerian singer, songwriter, and guitarist, is a prophecy that came to pass. Literary devices are powerful. They evoke emotions and provide insight to a writer's words. Next is one of these powerful tools.
An acrostic is a piece of writing in which a particular set of letters, typically the first letter of each line, word, or paragraph, spells out a word or phrase with special significance to text. Acrostics are mostly written as a form of poetry, but they can also be found in prose or used as word puzzles. Acrostic poems may be written in meter or in free verse, with or without rhyme. Psalm 119 is one of several acrostic poems found in the Bible. Its 176 verses are divided into 22 characters that make up the Hebrew alphabet. In the Hebrew text, each of the 8 verses of each stanza begins with the same Hebrew letter. Acrostics are common in medieval literature, where they usually serve to highlight the name of the poet or his patron. The word is recorded in the late 16th century and comes from French. Types of acrostic poems. Telistic. This is an acrostic in which the last letters of each line spells a word or message. Mesostic. In this, the middle word or lines form a word or message. Double acrostic. An acrostic in these words are spelled by both the first and last letters of each line, so that one word can be read vertically down and left side of the poem, and another word can be read vertically down the right side of the poem. Abecedarian acrostic. An acrostic that instead of spelling a word, spells the alphabet. Decoding acrostics. An acrostic may be a show, in which the author wants the reader to see it at once, or a puzzle that the author is content to have some people find and others not. Importance of acrostics in literature. Acrostics are used by writers to add new dimension to a poem or other text. They can transform straightforward poetry or prose into a word puzzle by enlisting the reader to decode a secret message. Writers use acrostics to spell names or meaning that are associated with the text but not said out rightly. It is done for comedic effect. Acrostic make poems easier to remember or memorize, as their message can function as mnemonic devices that helps readers to recall the reminder of each line. Writers for this use them for children's poetry.
An African-wise saying will end this package as usual. We appreciate your time. Thanks for being there. Bye.
Ule umwengu umzuri Yes,